Aokigahara, the Sea of Trees. A forest at the base of Mount Fuji so incredibly dense, so ancient, and so completely silent that compasses literally fail inside it. The jagged volcanic rock beneath the soil was born from a massive eruption over 1,200 years ago, and it is heavily rich in magnetic iron.
Keep moving.
It distorts magnetic fields. It swallows radio signals. Inside the heavy canopy of Aokigahara, the modern world simply stops working. The trees here do not grow straight. They twist and contort around the hardened lava, their roots reaching like desperate fingers into every dark crevice. The canopy above is so thick, so impenetrable, that the interior exists in a permanent, heavy gray-green twilight, regardless of the hour or the weather outside. The air smells of damp moss, decaying wood, and absolute isolation. We were mapping uncharted collapsed lava tubes in the deep northwestern sector. It was early morning, though you could only tell by the coldness of the air. The team was moving incredibly slowly, exactly as you must always move in the sea of trees. The thick carpet of moss hides everything: deep holes, sudden, sheer drops, the razor-sharp edges of volcanic glass that open without any warning. Suddenly, the lead member of our team stopped walking. He stood completely frozen, staring into the gloom. Then he called back to us, his voice muffled by the dense acoustic dead zone of the trees. He had found something massive, something mechanical, something that absolutely did not belong in this ancient forest. It took us time to physically understand what we were looking at. 80 harsh winters and humid summers of unchecked biological growth had transformed it. Thick green moss had claimed every horizontal metal surface. Century-old tree roots had violently grown straight through the aluminum cockpit floor. A young cedar tree had pushed its way entirely up through the left wing root, tearing the metal. Heavy vines had wrapped the fuselage from the propeller spinner to the tail. But the distinct aerodynamic shape was absolutely unmistakable. The beautiful, sweeping elliptical wingtips, the shattered remains of the glass bubble canopy, the long aerodynamic cowling housing a massive radial engine. Lying here, quietly suffocating beneath 80 years of Aokigahara, was a Mitsubishi A6M Zero fighter. Both wings were incredibly still attached. The entire tail assembly was completely undamaged, and the landing gear was fully deployed and locked down. As if the pilot had landed here deliberately, cut the engine, and simply never left. We stood around the wreck for a long, long time without speaking. The only sound was the wind far above in the canopy. The Mitsubishi A6M Zero was, without question, the finest carrier-based fighter aircraft in the world when it entered service in 1940. A masterpiece of aviation engineering. Built from ultra-lightweight extra super duralumin, it could outclimb, outturn, and outrange absolutely every opponent it faced. In the bloody first months after Pearl Harbor, the Zero and the elite veteran men who flew it seemed entirely unstoppable. But by 1944, the tide of the war had completely turned. American aviation engineers had studied captured Zeros and designed entirely new aircraft and tactics to defeat them. They ruthlessly exploited the Zero's fatal weaknesses: the complete lack of heavy armor plating to protect the pilot, the absence of self-sealing fuel tanks, and the extreme structural fragility that came from being built purely for agile performance. The legendary aircraft that had once ruled the Pacific sky with impunity was now being aggressively hunted by heavily armed Corsairs and Hellcats. The pilots dying in those desperate final years were not the seasoned, elite veterans who had flown at Pearl Harbor and Midway. Those men were mostly gone, swallowed by the ocean. The pilots of 1944 were much younger, barely out of school, rushed through training, flying an aircraft that was no longer dominant against a massive industrial enemy that had learned exactly how to kill it. We carefully breached the sealed compartment just behind the pilot's seat. Inside, protected from the rain by heavy canvas, we found a pilot's logbook. His name was Kenji Murakami. He was only 23 years old. Assigned to a carrier-based interception squadron in the chaotic final months of the Home Island defense campaign. His logbook meticulously recorded flight hours, patrol missions, weather conditions, and the names of fellow pilots who did not return. The earlier entries from training were written in a strong, confident hand. The final entries were totally different, smaller, tighter, more deliberate. It was the precise writing of a young man who clearly understood that these ink strokes might be the very last permanent record of his existence on Earth. The aircraft itself showed no catastrophic battle damage. No heavy 50 caliber bullet holes tearing the fuselage. No structural failure from aerial combat. And the landing gear was down. Whatever happened in the skies over Japan in those final, desperate months, Kenji Murakami made a deliberate choice. Perhaps he ran out of fuel. Perhaps his engine failed. But he brought his Zero down purposefully, bleeding off speed, aiming for the soft canopy of the trees in one of the most difficult, unforgiving landing environments imaginable. The ancient forest caught him, and the forest kept his aircraft a silent secret for 80 long years. Deep inside the dark cockpit, we found a small oilskin pouch. Inside was a family photograph. A young woman and two small children, photographed in a formal studio setting, dressed in their best clothing, the children not quite holding their serious poses. A haunting photograph taken before the war began, back when the future was still open and full of promise. Beside it lay a heavy brass compass, a folded mission map, and a small tarnished bronze omamori, a traditional Japanese protection charm, still hanging quietly from the altimeter dial on the instrument panel. The extraction of the aircraft took 11 grueling days. Because Aokigahara is a protected national park, we had to work surgically around the ancient trees, dismantling the Zero piece by piece, lifting the massive engine and fuselage out by hand in specialized rigging. 14 months of meticulous, obsessive restoration followed in a Tokyo facility. Every single flight instrument was documented, treated chemically to remove the corrosion, and returned to its exact